The launch of the festive season offers a good opportunity to check in on consumer sentiment. No better company to do that with than Titan. Joining us today is Managing Director Bhaskar Bhat. Mr. Bhat, welcome to BloombergQuint. Let's first start by asking you what your expectation for the festive season is, given that it comes on the back of some fairly severe GST-led disruption.
Yeah, we are looking forward to a good season ahead. There is some uncertainty in the minds of consumers on account of GST, not so much demonetisation. There is, it's not so much sentiment as in they want to actually celebrate, but because of the varying rates of GST and non-clarity in the consumers' minds about, the GST rates and 5 rates and so on, which at least our research and consumer talk is indicating a certain reluctance to act immediately. All that should change. As you said, Navratras have started and the festival season is on. But I think company action also matters. So we have gone forward quite aggressively in jewelry, watches, and this new category that you can see here with new products and a whole lot of promotion. So we expect a good Diwali ahead.
But Mr. Bhat, as the GST effect sinks in, what can you tell us on how it's impacting your pricing strategy, how it's impacting consumer demand? After all, festival season will provide a temporary bump up, but what are you going to do to sustain the growth that you saw in a fairly good first quarter?
Well, as I did want to say it, but we are actually on the positive side of the GST story. Demonetization GST story, but because we have been impacted by both these on account of the unorganized sectors in which we operate. The industry, whether you look at jewelry or eyewear or watches, the industry is significantly unorganized, and a lot of cash transactions used to take place. A lot of product is smuggled, and a whole lot of the trade didn't even have the VAT numbers, VAT registrations and so on. So the other bit is consumers, especially in jewelry, are now wanting to migrate to safe brands, and which brand better than Tanishq in jewelry to migrate to, because of the uncertainty and all this fear in the public's mind about producing a Aadhaar card and a PAN card and being captured on CCTV, buying jewelry and so on. They migrate to a safe haven like Tata, Titan, Tanishq, and therefore we have actually benefited from this whole formalization of the economy, and we'll continue to benefit. So we see very good a very good festive season, but that doesn't mean we'll keep quiet. So you're going to have a flurry of new product in all our categories, especially in jewelry. There's this new collection we've launched. Surprise, you'll see it in Bollywood with the launch of this upcoming launch of a great film ahead. Jewelry made for that, and new collections in watches, a lady smartwatch coming up, a new Raga coming up. So new product is what drives demand in all these categories, and we are there.
Do you expect this benefit from formalization to sustain? Because informal players will eventually get their act together. It is a matter of livelihood for them. So could this just be a short to medium term benefit?
Well, I don't see that. You see, our business is based on things other than GST. We've always invested in brands, in product, in design, in quality, in reasonable pricing across all our categories. So the ownership of the consumer in terms of consumers aspiring for our product, a large part of the Indian middle class and upper middle class aspiring for our product is where the company's strength is. We have had headwinds because of the unorganized sector competing with us and non-equal playing field. Now with GST, demonetisation GST, that has changed. So now we are on equal ground. Therefore, the benefit is of a long-term nature, sustainable kind, and therefore, yes, we'll get a kind of a hockey stick right now, a hockey stick effect right now, and it'll stay at a high level in terms of total sales. Because the migration, once people come to safe brands and good brands, why would they go away? Of course, if anything is possible. Yes, the competition, and we are ready for all that. But it's not just competition. I think what we are gearing up for in the long-term future is disruption. Every category is getting disrupted by technology, a new kind of players. So that is more in the long term, not this. The GST effect is positive. Just to give you an example, I think consumers have been worried about jewelry, and there was a surge of jewelry sales end of June, last 10 days, because of the impending GST, assuming that prices might go up. But actually, government has been very wise and has introduced GST at 3% in jewelry, and that's like extremely not competitive, extremely thoughtful of the government, and consumers are going to enjoy the benefit of that low GST. And gold is such an important part of the Indian woman's life and of an Indian wedding. So that, in fact, very few consumers are probably completely aware. But as and when they find out that the GST in jewelry is not all that is not high, and in fact it's at a level which is a little higher than what it was before. But before, the unorganized players, many of them were not in the tax paying mood or tax paying process. So I think our positive impact is going to last.
Okay, can you, based on these factors, and you've described them generally, can you characterize how sales have done in the quarter underway?
Well, we don't actually give any guidance or forward-looking statements. That's not our practice. But the 43% growth that you saw in the first quarter, certainly that is not what will happen in this quarter, because as you said, there was a surge in sale in the month of June because of the GST. So a lot of sale did get advanced into June. But be that as it may, 43 was an extraordinary high level of growth. We will still grow and grow better than last year, and we expect, well, I can't say whether it's 15 or 20%, but it's a good number.
Mr. Bhat, we are in an environment of fairly slow growth right now, as borne out by the GDP numbers. Do you anticipate an impact, and if yes, could you quantify on consumer impact, on consumer sentiment rather, if we don't see any pickup in growth over the next quarter or two?
Of course, if growth doesn't pick up in the next quarter or two, the companies are going to get impacted. But from where I sit, I don't see. I'm seeing a few retail companies in the group, in the Tata group. Some of them, I'm on the boards of some of them, and they're all seeing positive growth, better than competition. So I think guys who have got their act together, both in terms of brands and products, and apart from all the organizing themselves for GST, I think they are seeing benefits. So you will have, yes, there are consumer goods companies, FMCG companies which have been affected, but that I'm seeing is temporary.
Mr. Bhat, one final question. You've mentioned the strength in the jewelry business. That was the reason why your first quarter did much better than expectations, fabulously well, if I could point out. But what sales were up only 2% last quarter as you rescheduled some activity? Eyewear sales were flat. Any improvement in those categories in the quarter underway or in the months to come?
No, we had to reschedule only because of GST. So that's out of the way, and we are seeing much better growth rates in both those businesses, which you will see as when we declare our quarter results. But yes, watches has not seen very robust growth rates, but we have been talking about that. It's in the business is going through restructuring and recrafting, and we've gone on a cost drive there. All that will begin to contribute, already beginning to contribute. So, but you will see significant growth rates in eyewear, reasonable growth rates in watches, and very good growth rates in jewelry.
Right, I guess we'll have to live with significant, reasonable and very good growth rate qualifications. Thanks very much, Bhaskar Bhat, for speaking with us.